Hello again. I want to follow up on the last video that I posted because we received an email from social worker Deirdre Ryan of South Tyneside Council, and I've pasted it into the description so you can follow it. I'll try not to make the video too long, but I'm going to make some observations of the depravity of this system and why challenging it is led to police state terror in the form of the raid on my house on the 19th of November, led by Adam Lloyd. This is to do with a meeting with our younger daughter, and it was a meeting where you would ordinarily exchange presents. Yeah, he has a birthday around this time. And as I alluded to in the previous video, at the Christmas meeting where they degrade us terribly at these meetings, we can't even have a Christmas lunch, so we have to have a Christmas fry up because it's so inflexible and inhuman. They won't change the hours. They wanted meetings at 10 till 12 on Saturday because it suits them better. Social services are self-service. They're not serving society, so don't think that. And in that meeting, my wife passed younger daughter a letter reminding her of her Polish heritage and providing details of the Polish consulate, which she does have access to as a Polish citizen. And because of the cultural genocide that South Tyneside Council have engaged in, with the blessing of Rachel Hudson during the final hearing, we brought up multiple concerns about this. They were furious, and they then said that we had to pass all presents via Deirdre Ryan, effectively. So Ryan is, in essence, putting extreme emotional abuse on our younger daughter to save herself and her colleagues from what is effectively a crime against humanity. So let's look at this email, which I've put X's in for certain names and so on. So following the phone call, these are the expectations for family time assessment in 2023 with one addition. Now, the first thing to note, we never followed these anyway, because if you scan through, they would violate ECHR, freedom of expression. The family court, likes of Rachel Hudson and also South Tyneside Council, they use Hudson as a justification. Hudson, as we know, signed off falsified, unsigned evidence. And it's incredible that she hasn't already been placed under investigation, but that's probably a measure of our society right now. So what they tend to believe is they can operate above ECHR. They have some sort of superior position to it, which is nonsense. They don't. They terrorize people into believing that behind closed doors and so on, but they don't. It was the same with the FCA. When they tried to threaten me and say that they could use anything I provided with them in whatever way, fashion, without my permission, that would violate ECHR. It wouldn't meet a fair trial threshold because I'd raised credible concerns about conflicts of interest between them acting as a regulator and a prosecutor, and said until we could resolve these, and I could be, in particular, the processing of information, evidence, I wouldn't participate, and particularly unless they also acknowledged the catastrophic errors that they'd made and the impact that had on the victims. So saying that they also have this make-believe assumption that they have superiority to ECHR. They don't. Going back to this family assessment in 2023, what happened here is Ryan cut Ryan and South Tyneside Council cut down our access from twice a month to once a month to threaten us because we'd raised issues about racism and cultural genocide. So that was their punishment. So they come up with this nonsense as punishment to cover their crimes against humanity. So let's look at some of these. So their idea of a positive experience in what they call family time is censorship, effectively. You have to sit there and smile that taking a child in complicity with a judge who accepted falsified, unsigned evidence is acceptable. And you have to they want you to sit there and smile and pretend everything's okay. So it's dystopic censorship. And they're saying you can raise issues with Deirdre Ryan, we have, and they've been ignored. And you know why that is. This is a trade in children with private equity owned institutions, and things like heritage and a bond with a family just get destroyed so the child can be manufactured into a financial asset which will generate long-term government-backed cash flows. Look at the other parts of it. We'll not talk about daughter coming home. We'll not talk about having extra time with her. It's obvious what they're doing here, isn't it? Look at the videos I posted across these two channels. Look at how I've explained the involvement of private equity in this sordid business and why they're interested in it. They want a long-term, uninterrupted, government-backed, inflation-protected cash flows. If a child is encouraged to reconcile with the parents, spend more time with the parents, those cash flows are at risk. You can see the sordidity and depravity of this system. So issues about the foster care won't be discussed. They've been discussed at meetings because we've had very, very serious concerns about welfare. Swimming costumes that are too small. Goggles that are so worn they're mouldy. Very, very long gaps between trips to the dentist. Multiple things I could go on and on about. So what they're effectively saying is we're going to threaten you if you raise welfare concerns, because we've raised these in what they call care team meetings. When my wife was terrorised and bullied by Lewis Anderson, Angela Nolan, Deirdre Ryan, to the point of being in tears on these meetings. All this is recorded. This is a vicious, corrupt trade. Will not make recordings of supervisors doing or their vehicles. I'm afraid we do, and we have done. And you know why they don't want that. Effectively, the vehicles thing was never an issue. What my wife used to do is record daughter leaving in the car, and she'd make hearts. She'd be shouting, "I love you," and so on and so forth. They don't want people to see that emotional attachment because it's their objective to destroy it to support this wicked trade in children with private equity. So the new additions come from the letter in X. The content was not appropriate. Not appropriate, reminding someone of their Polish heritage, of which they were very, very proud of before they were taken. Reminding them that they have access to the Polish consulate is not appropriate. That's a crime against humanity. And this is why exposing this has meant I've had police state terror, because this is a wicked, depraved trade. And they are weaponizing the state against me, using our own money against us as a society, because they have no money. South Tyneside Council has no money. It only has the money it can take from the third estate. Similarly with the family court, it has no money. It's protecting its own corruption by weaponizing the state against people. That's the best way to describe it. As another matter you may be interested in, last spring the Polish consulate in Manchester wrote to South Tyneside Council asking about what had been done to promote the heritage and protect the heritage. And they provided a list of suggestions of what could be done To the best of my knowledge, they never received a reply. I may be wrong on that, but to the best of my knowledge, as I speak to you now, stand to be corrected, they did. That letter was ignored. That is an ally of Poland, which any historian of you will know that the UK has never been an ally of Poland. It's more the other way around, particularly in the Second World War. And Poland was sold to Stalin at the end of it for their troubles. So, and you can see the gifts, please do not bring gifts. She broke a child's heart to hide their corruption. There's no other way of describing this. She broke a child's heart, as they've done multiple times, to save their own corruption. That is the depravity of the system. And I think what we're seeing now with rape gangs and now the Epstein files is just how degenerate society is. Be it the police, be it so-called judiciary, whatever you want to call it. Be it those who we call the elite or the whatever the establishment. They are depraved. Look at Andrew. We are invited to believe that the Windsors, including his late mother, didn't know what he was getting up to in royal property in some instances. Yeah, they must think we are idiots. This institution itself is rotten to the core. Edward VII, Edward VIII, Henry VIII, scoundrels, and yet we're supposed to revere them somehow. That's society. I've got something interesting coming up later about money laundering and how you're being conned on that too. Take care. Bye.